onto this trick before, but if you ever want to get the perfect circle, like the perfect dot, using paint such as acrylic, this is what you do. Instead of trying to get all the hairs of your paintbrush in a perfect circle, and let's say if you want a really, really small one, use the bottom of the paintbrush. And depending on your paintbrush, you'll get different sizes, or you can have a variety of paintbrushes near you and get them all that way. If you only have one paintbrush, there's still a good way you can get a variety of sizes, and I'm going to show you. Basically, when we are dabbing and making small dots with the paintbrush, the booty or the bottom of the paintbrush is becoming like a stamp. Okay, I'll demonstrate. Here you go. I'm going to dip directly straight up and down, keeping the hairs of my paintbrush towards the sky and the bottom directly straight up like a pole towards the paper. And I always take my wrist, put it down on the paper. That way I have a sense of security and I have more control. Okay, now I just kind of use my fingers and my wrist to take the paintbrush up and down, kind of like this. Press down, and I'm going directly back up, and voila, I got a perfect circle. I'm gonna re-dip and go again. You can do several dots depending how much paint is on your paintbrush, or maybe you can only fit in a few. You're gonna notice there's like that little bubble. That's where kind of leftover paint, where it kind of puckers off from when you lifted. That is a-okay. It kind of gives your paint a little texture. This technique works very well for creating things like suction cups on an octopus. I always like to use it for blossoms when I'm painting a tree, or even just fine details if you're painting someone's face, maybe their freckles. Anything in the world that needs to be perfectly round, you can use this technique for. And I am just allowing the colors to mix when I choose a different color. There's always a little bit left over on the end of your paintbrush when you use this technique, so just be aware of that. And what I love about this too is you can always go over another dot. If you don't like it, or if you want to add more colors to it, like here, I'll come in with red and I'm gonna go over. And when I have less red, it's gonna pick up more of the orange that's on the paper, and it kind of blends and gives different techniques that way. Okay, just gonna do a few more, and you can space out the dots however you want. I'm gonna set this brush aside, and I'm gonna show you bigger brush equals bigger dots. Oh yeah, ginormous. I usually don't use this big a brush and get this big of dots, but it's actually super fun. This technique does remind me a little bit of pop art when they use dots and pointillism more to do shading for things. Okay. And I'm working on some of the rounded edges for the side of that as well, and I get smaller dots that way. Okay. But let's go back. Let's say you only have this one brush and you're really wanting a bigger dot. Okay. So here's what you're gonna do. Get a good amount of paint. I'm even giving my brush a little stir on that bottom there, and go directly up and slowly move the brush in a small circle. Remember to stabilize your wrist and go around and around making small circles. When you're more stabilized and kind of centered on a point, you'll be able to create a much more rounded circle. And I'm slowly making the circle bigger as I work from the center outward, kind of swirling that paint around. All that extra paint that was in the center is going to be pushed outward. Okay. I really like that berry color. I'm going to make another one, and I added some white. Okay. There. Okay, that's how you use the bottom of your paintbrush to get perfect dots as a form of pointillism or adding texture. Be sure to wash that bottom of the brush when you're done, and have a great day and happy painting.